Hi, everybody. I am so excited to be introducing someone to you all. I don't know if you're aware of this, but in my field and practice and all that I do, I meet a lot of amazing people, and I'm about to introduce you to one of them. Her name is Karli Jackson, also known as Naturally Karli, from her lifestyle and nutrition YouTube channel. She's a holistic nutrition and weight loss coach with an extensive background in plant-based nutrition, human psychology, and behavior modification techniques. Now, we all need this, right? Because we all have things we're trying to change and trying to stop, and we want to do good things, but we don't do good things, and we don't want to do bad things, but we do bad things. So Karli specializes in helping ill and overweight individuals as well regain their health through evidence-based lifestyle and dietary interventions with an emphasis on whole food, plant-centered nutrition. She holds certificates in both plant-based nutrition and food addiction. And I have placed her contact information below the video here so that you can check out all the amazing things she does. Hopefully you'll go to her YouTube channel and you'll subscribe so that you can see everything and you won't miss anything good. So Karli is here today. She is going to cover a subject that many people have questions about. And so I'm going to disappear. She's going to show you some amazing information on her slides.
So again, when it comes to overcoming chronic pain and reducing the amount of weight that is excess on your body, that's putting more weight on your joints than, necessary and creating all kinds of havoc in your body, trying to shift towards a healthier diet plan is not only going to reduce your weight, but it will reduce your pain. So today we are going to talk about eating plant-based in a westernized world. So many people have a giant barrier to following a healthy lifestyle of any kind, whether you're plant-based, whole food plant-based, vegan, whatever you call yourself, whether you're just eating the standard American diet. This will pertain to everybody. So these are going to be strategies for navigating the social aspects of plant-based living and how to get started when recovering from chronic pain. All right, so some topics we're going to cover are understanding the dilemma, first and foremost, and then discussing how to plan and prepare ahead of time. Some specific strategies for dining out, holidays and gatherings, vacation and travel, and then finally tips for living with chronic pain and trying to maintain a healthy diet. So to understand the overarching dilemma, I think it's always helpful to look at things from a evolutionary or historical perspective. So understanding that our bodies were not created for our modern environment is first and foremost to understanding this problem. We actually have this mechanism. We have these compliant genes for maintaining our tribal membership. When we used to require a tribe and require that tribe likes us hanging around, we used to have a better chance of survival. But now that we are unbelievably independent and we don't rely so much on other people, we don't really need these compliance genes as much as we used to in the past. So the more people we see doing something at once, this is explaining exactly what these compliance genes are. This has been done in so many fascinating research studies. So the more people we see doing something at once, the more compelled we feel to do it. On average, it takes about 5 people to be doing something for us to feel unbelievably compelled to do it too. So some of the research studies that don't focus on food so much are the ones where they'll have people standing on the edge of the street and without anybody looking up from their phone or whatever it is that they were doing. I forget the specifics of the study, but they would have one person walk, 2 people walk, 3 people walk until they get to 5. And they noticed that when they got up to 5 people walking, people just automatically start walking without looking at the street to see if cars are coming yet. So I just thought that was so interesting. And this pertains to food also. The more people that we eat with, the more food we consume. It is very helpful to understand that before going into a social event of any kind, that you're going to feel compelled to eat a much bigger plate of food than you typically would had you been eating at home. So these survival mechanisms worked well when most humans were fit and lean, but in our modern day, these innate tendencies can result in our demise if we don't take proper precautions to maintain our healthy habits and overall healthful resolve. So studies show that we take on the habits and the resulting BMI, or body mass index, which is just a measurement of basically how much excess weight we have on our body, of those that we spend the most time with. This even trumps genetics, which is unbelievable because genetics is about an 80% concordance when it comes to like where we develop having this predisposition to resulting in excess weight in the first place. So as we age, this actually shifts to becoming more and more and more um, a tendency to take on the habits of those around us. So the company you keep is really important because you tend to start taking on their tendencies. So we are very social creatures. This is understandable. This is a very difficult situation. But we don't have to choose between our health and our family or friends or social life. We can build a system that accounts for the importance of maintaining social normalcy while simultaneously following our healthful values. This does take time, consistency, and emotional tolerance, however. It is helpful to have some thick skin around this process. If you maintain your healthful resolve long enough, it becomes normal for both you and those you regularly spend your time with, particularly those that you tend to eat with. But this is much more difficult in the beginning stages. Basically, your new mantra should be I am perfectly normal for wanting to follow a healthy lifestyle. It is the society that is abnormal for choosing to do the opposite. You are not the weirdo. You are not being too difficult. You are not asking too much. You are not an outcast of any kind. Unfortunately, it is the tendency that healthier people tend to be alienated in our culture and other westernized cultures for wanting to share these healthful values. But it's hopefully shifting in a more positive direction in the future, I hope. So people will ask questions when they are unfamiliar with the new you and your new lifestyle choices. Just anticipate this ahead of time. But unless you are a seasoned, let's say whole food, plant-based, vegan, whatever it is, whatever diet it is that you're trying to follow, don't bother getting into intellectual or rationalizing conversations with others during mealtime. You will inevitably waver in your resolve at this vulnerable stage. So people will ask lots of questions about, well, where do you get XYZ, like your protein and your calcium and your iron? Because everybody has this brainwashed notion that we are supposed to get specific food for specific macronutrients and specific nutrients from the meat, egg, dairy, and processed food culprits. But that is so not the case. Just because billions of dollars of advertisement money and curriculums, like everything that we're learning in our educational institutions, has been bought and paid by these big food conglomerates. So it's not surprising that we have to kind of shift people's paradigms every time that they see us eating in a different manner than they are. So what's helpful is to maintain positive messaging and ongoing immersion in plant-based nutrition, education, research, and implementation. Follow your favorite influencers, your plant-based influencer, or your health, whatever healthy diet influencers you want to follow, or and making sure you're up to date on the latest nutrition research and um, all the wonderful books that are out there and podcasts and documentaries. But also, I think YouTube is wonderful for helping you implement these particular strategies, not just the um, like the social aspects, but also the what to make, how to prepare these foods. So you need to be constantly proving to your subconscious that you are doing the quote unquote right thing. And I am not referring to what I think is the right thing. This is what you feel in your bones is the right thing for your personal self. Nobody else can tell you how you should be taking care of your body. So when it comes to dealing with social pressures, the why of why are you doing this? Why do you want to be healthy? Why do you want to live a long life? Hold this in your forefront when you are engaging in these social interactions, and you will go so much farther. This is great motivation to just, some people write this down on a card and put it in their pocket and take it with them to social gatherings so they can constantly remind themselves, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Why am I not indulging in my old familiar favorites? My neural circuitry is egging me on to go, get some of my old appetizers or whatever. Everybody else is eating this stuff and they seem perfectly fine. So why can't I do it too? You have to recognize that you need something more powerful than, well, this doctor told me I was supposed to do this, or this influencer said I was supposed to be doing this. You need to know why you're doing it for you. So people feel threatened by those who are improving their social status. So anybody who's improving their health is improving their social status. Improving your diet means you are doing something others may feel they do not have the mental fortitude, strength, willpower, or discipline to do. So that automatically makes them feel insecure and inadequate. Just being around you, just watching you eating healthier than they are. Many also worry that you will outgrow them if you continue going down this new path. And that's perfectly understandable because in some cases that is what happens. It is helpful to reassure others that you are not criticizing, judging, or looking down on them for making different dietary choices. You want to do this with aloofness and indifference. Just kind of, it's just this experiment I'm trying. My doctor said it might be helpful, so it seems to be working for me so far. So maybe I'll keep going down this road. Now, some people may have stronger personalities like myself and tend to get a little too passionate about this topic. So just know yourself and kind of come up with some strategies ahead of time for how you're going to approach this. I do have an awesome food pusher response guide that I'm going to offer you guys at the end of this presentation. If you need some assertive yet tactful responses to people in the moment when you're being offered these foods. So you can kind of have something in your back pocket and rehearse these before you go to the gatherings. So the bottom line is that if someone makes you feel uncomfortable for taking care of yourself, or they disrespect your choices, or add unnecessary stress to a feat that is already challenging, such as making a lifestyle change, then maybe it's time to move on and make room for people who are going to support your decisions and are going to celebrate who you are, no matter where you are in your journey. Or perhaps you need to practice cultivating confidence and tenacity to train others how to treat you. You must know, again, in your bones that you are doing the right thing. You must believe in yourself and your choices. I think it's really helpful to think about 10, 15, 20, 30 years down the road. Like, what do you want to be thinking about? How proud you are and how wonderfully vibrant and healthy you feel that you went down the path of most resistance and explained to people why you want to maintain this healthy lifestyle, regardless of whether or not they do it? Or do you want to regret not standing up for yourself and not having the confidence to just go against the grain and take care of yourself in a very unnatural environment? It's really unfortunate that we have to deal with this issue in the first place. It should not be weird to want to live healthy. It's completely backwards. So you also want to tactfully stand up for yourself and your choices when warranted. People can get defensive and emotionally charged about food choices. Everybody eats, so everybody has an opinion. Just know that coming into this. It's not personal, but you may feel like you're being attacked from time to time. So just like with politics, religion, gay sex marriage, like abortion rights, all of these things that we don't tend to discuss around the dinner table because they're so emotionally charging and activating, it's helpful to stay away from your personal choices and understandings about why you're choosing the diet that you're choosing. It's best to divert the conversation to a more neutral topic and leave it be. Unless this is an ongoing occurrence with someone you live with, then you need to discuss the issue in its entirety. This is something I coach people around often, and it takes a number of sessions. So if you feel you need additional support around this, please reach out because it is an unfortunately common topic. So, some ways to kind of overcome this barrier to living a healthy lifestyle due to these social aspects and how uncomfortable they make us feel. It's to plan and prepare for success. So, you want to do this both mentally and physically. So, plan well in advance for social events and think of these as high risk situations and take them seriously. Because if you go in to a situation unprepared where you're going to be super vulnerable and you haven't quite decided how you're going to respond to the food choices and so on and so forth, then just know that you will likely give in and then it'll result in the same old, same old. You're going to get the same result that you were trying to get away from, by doing this in the first place. So you want to mentally prepare yourself by reflecting on your why and how you would like to the event to unfold and anticipate the best case scenario. Maintain a positive outlook on this. So regularly connect with others who live this way. Other like-minded individuals are wonderful to stay on track and remind yourself that I'm not the only one doing this. There are plenty of other like-minded individuals who are having the same issues I am. Let's go online and join some plant-based Facebook groups or whatever and figure out how they dealt with this situation. Or I want to talk about my triumphs or my struggles with others. You might have some health conscious friends. I have one. I would like to think after all these years of living this way, I would have found more, but it's difficult. Of course, depending on where you live and such. So, for the physical aspects of preparing before social events, it's helpful to eat before you go. I know this sounds really counterintuitive, but we are no longer going to social events to celebrate food and binge on food like or drug like foods. We are going to enjoy the company and the atmosphere and enjoy the social experience, the bonding, the everything that comes with the connectivity, hanging out with your friends, family, coworkers, and such. So prepare your meals and other dishes to bring along. Know in advance what you will and will not be eating so there are no moments of weakness when presented with new options like treats and desserts and any old familiar favorites like, oh, grandma made my favorite cookies or whatever. You're already going to know in advance what you're going to respond when grandma offers you those cookies and whether or not you're going to decide to have one or you're not going to have any. Whatever you decide is totally fine. Just have a plan in place before you get there. So, when you are physically and mentally prepared, you can relax and enjoy the company of others instead of battling all of these preoccupations and mental gymnastics around the food that will be presented. So, some strategies for dining out are trying to choose the venue if possible is really helpful. Look for ethnic restaurants or those that you are familiar with that may have healthier options. Also, calling ahead to ask for accommodations is always helpful, or just getting familiar with what to expect and maybe looking at the menu ahead of time. Don't be shy. Make sure you ask for what you truly want when ordering. You're not being difficult or, you're not getting on anybody's nerves. This is their job. This is why they're there. You would order in the same manner if you were ordering a standard American style meal. Everybody asks for specifics regardless of their dietary choices. So specify what you are expecting and ask lots of clarifying questions. This will help really get you what it is that you're asking. So is that cooked in oil? Do you pre-make those with milk, eggs, butter, etc.? Can I get that steamed instead of grilled? These are all viable options that many restaurants offer. Some regular go-tos if you don't want to get too in the weeds about combining different, healthy options from different menu options that are available, which you can do, by the way. The chef is always happy to make something different on the menu as opposed to the same old day in and day out. Some regular go-tos are things like salads. You can bring your own dressing or ask for a wedge of lemon or lime, vinegar. Steamed rice and veggies, baked potatoes, and other side dishes are usually safe options. And don't feel obligated to eat something that was not made to your specifications. This would be no different had you ordered anything else on the menu that wasn't made to your liking. So it's never an obligation. And sometimes, honestly, I go to a restaurant and I don't eat anything, or I bring my own food. So those are perfectly healthy options too. You can you don't have to feel uncomfortable, or don't let anybody else make you feel uncomfortable if you're choosing to, take care of yourself instead of following the crowd. So for holidays and gatherings, this is a big one for people because the holidays bring a bunch of nostalgia and they make people kind of indulge in a way that they typically wouldn't in any other situation. So, speaking to the host or hostess ahead of time to determine what food will be available and what you should bring along is really helpful. The worst case scenario for any host is that somebody comes to their party and doesn't eat anything. So, they are more than happy to accommodate. They just need to know what you need. So, I think bringing a dish for everybody to enjoy, especially something that might be your favorite, is really helpful because then other people can, enjoy in the same thing you're eating, but then you'll also have something prepared that you can indulge on a little bit and you won't feel super anxious about, oh, there's not going to be anything there I can eat. So hosts always prefer you to eat something versus nothing. I mentioned that. Always eat something before you go and bring a dish that you really enjoy. Or host your own holidays and gatherings. That was always my favorite. It's so much easier when you can control everything. Mentally prepare yourself ahead of time for difficult family members and friends. Unfortunately, these do exist. Um, they make your dietary choices seem radical or unwarranted. So I'm sure everybody has at least one of these in their family. Follow the food pusher response guide, again, that will be linked in the show notes, to tactfully respond to seemingly well-meaning people who insist you should overindulge with everyone else when, that's not your plan for you. And the reason why this is so difficult is because you have probably engaged in this behavior all your life. So now that you're trying to transition, other people are going to be like, yeah, okay, you're just being crazy, or you're just following some weird diet. You'll be back. But the more you do this, and the more and more and more consistency you show them that this is my new way of life, take it or leave it, the more they're going to drop it and the more they're going to stop giving you such a hard time. But most of all, enjoy this time with people you care about while continuing to care for yourself. Don't get overly rigid or dogmatic. These are just guidelines. Find a place on this health and disease promoting food spectrum that you fall on, that you feel comfortable and can enjoy your life to the fullest, but still have the best health outcomes. So vacation and travel. This is another one where we have this like hedonistic tendency to kind of check out when it goes to our healthy diets and our healthy habits of any kind on vacation. We typically drop the exercise and the sleep and anything else that we would typically do at home to take care of ourselves. I don't understand this tendency, but it's so prevalent. Mentally prepare yourself to enjoy your vacation or travel without succumbing to social norms or what you had always done prior in these situations. Create new health promoting memories and associations with these experiences, and then it won't feel so weird when you go on vacation and you go to bed at 9 o'clock and you choose to only have one drink instead of five, or you still make sure there's a gym in the hotel you're staying at so you can get your workout in. All of the things that you follow when you're at home, you should try to maintain to some level of regularity when you're on vacation or traveling. And then it won't be so hard to kind of get back on track and kind of reel in these hedonistic tendencies. So let's see. You want to make travel arrangements that follow your dietary needs. So book lodging with kitchens. Lots of hotels offer these now, or at least a microwave and a fridge, a little mini fridge. Those are helpful. But definitely having a sink and a full fridge is what I look for. You want to carry your meals, and I carry my pressure cooker everywhere I go. On the flight, locate nearby grocery stores or markets along your destination trajectory if driving, or locate the grocery stores near your hotel, or make sure you book a hotel or some kind of Airbnb that has a grocery store nearby. Don't rely on healthy options being available. Just anticipate that they won't be, like gas stations and fast food places, and just always anticipate bringing your own food. You should have plenty of packed coolers and totes with enough simple foods to get you by. So this doesn't have to be elaborate recipes. You can have some oatmeal, a sweet potato, a simple soup, just things that are easily traveled with instead of, having something ideal. You don't have to get your flax in that day or your turmeric in that day or whatever, must haves that you have on your healthy diet plan. Just sustainability is what we're looking for. And I discussed maintaining regularity around meal times, and your other healthy habits is key to just kind of following that structure during your vacation. All right, so let's talk about a really, really important topic. And I have worked with a number of individuals with different chronic illnesses who have different disabilities. So, this is a big topic that I have had to really dive into and figure out some creative ways to help people maintain a healthy lifestyle while transitioning to I should say this is mainly for the transitioning process while you're still experiencing a lot of the pain and a lot of the discomfort from living such an unhealthy lifestyle for so long, and then trying to transition to a healthier lifestyle. You're still going to experience a lot of pain during that transition. Or if I don't mean to put any blame on anybody. So if you acquired the pain from, an accident or something, by all means, it's the same process. It's still about that transitioning period where you're still experiencing a lot of pain. So it's difficult to, cut up your veggies and such. So you want to invest in plant-based kitchen essentials. So things like a pressure cooker is such a lifesaver. I have two and I probably use them several times a day, most days, because they are so beneficial for busy lifestyles or people who need more convenience in their life. And especially if you're cooking your own beans and grains and potatoes and all of those wonderful healthy foods, it's going to be a great way to get started in this lifestyle. Also, a sharp chef's knife. This I put sharp in there for a reason. Most people don't realize that the sharper the knife, that doesn't mean the more dangerous. The more dull the knife, the more dangerous it becomes because then you have to use more force and then you're more likely to have it slip and go the wrong direction. So making sure the knife is sharp, and I'm not talking about sharpening it regularly. That's actually damaging to the knife. And there's this wonderful resource. It's only like a $40 plant-based cooking class. I think it's by Chef Ramsay's Bravo. I often recommend that to my clients because it'll teach them the basics. But simple stuff like this, like taking care of your knives, using the knife straightener instead of a sharpener all the time, and keeping them well. Like I actually have like a knife shield here to keep it from bumping into things in the drawer is really helpful to keep it sharp. Also having a wooden um what's it called? Cutting board, a wooden cutting board instead of a plastic one will help keep your knife sharp. You also want to have plenty of glass and plastic storage containers. The glass is for hot foods and the plastic is for traveling. Obviously, you can bring glass traveling, but it's so much heavier and more difficult, more cumbersome. So also having a food processor or blender is really helpful. Then you don't have to chop everything and you just let the device do it for you. Okay, so stocking your freezer with frozen homemade meals is key. When you are about to have, you never know when you're going to have a flare up or when, something sudden is going to happen. You have to take care of a family member or something. You need to have some homemade healthy frozen meals in your freezer so you can always just grab them and go or heat them up and go. You don't have to exert a lot of energy or you don't have to deal with that in your painful state. Also, having pre-cut veggies and fruit mixes are helpful for like stir fries and smoothies and such. Easy things that you can just throw together without thinking about it or putting too much effort into it. Use pre-washed greens and other produce. I do this personally because I hate washing my greens because every time you put them in a salad after you've washed them, everything goes bad because of all the condensation. So I just shoot for organic or pre-washed greens in the first place. Buy minimally processed convenience items until pain diminishes. So things like canned beans, tomatoes, condiments, plant milk, dehydrated meals, and other low sodium goods can be really helpful for people trying to transition to healthier food prepping. Use a stool for extended meal prep sessions so you don't have to stand if you have trouble standing too long. I know it's a little awkward sometimes in the kitchen, but just find what works for you. You also want to hold knives in the proper technique. So you want to pinch the blade and keep your wrist in proper alignment. So this was something new to me. You actually use these two fingers, you pinch the blade, and then keeping your wrist in, obviously I can't do it here, but keeping your wrist in alignment and sliding as opposed to chopping is going to be really helpful, as well as cutting in multiples. So anytime you have, multiple items of some kind of, let's say carrots, it's helpful to line them up and then cut them at once instead of, you know, again and again and again to reduce some of that like tendinitis and other inflammatory issues that come about with repetitive movements. Okay, almost done here. Stick with me. So you also want to prep during low pain windows. So whenever you are feeling this sudden rush of energy, or your pain just happens to be reduced for some reason, or you just took your medicine, let's say, and reduced your pain, use that opportunity and and prepare some meals. And lastly, consider high potency turmeric supplements during prep. This is something I was very, very discouraged by recommending for a number of years because I try to stay away from all supplements, to be perfectly honest. But I have tried these myself, and they are so potent and tested and pure that I feel comfortable offering them to other people. So yes, this is a more natural way to manage your pain if your pain isn't too extreme. Okay, so if you are in need of some additional support, I have my students running through my spring session of my Naturally Lean Masterclass right now, but I will be offering another one in this upcoming fall. If you want updates to that, make sure you subscribe to my newsletter. You'll find links in the description notes. I also have that weekly newsletter if you do sign up for my email list. I provide one-on-one coaching for anybody who is in need of getting really down into the details and the nitty-gritty of what's going on for them personally and overcoming other barriers around not just social aspects of eating, but cravings, emotional eating, and other areas that can override these healthful habits. So I offer free consultations for anybody who's interested in that, so we can really get to know get to the bottom of what's going on for you and decide whether or not we'd be compatible for working together. I discussed the food pusher response guide that you can utilize at your next social event until you get more comfortable doing this on your own. And my YouTube channel, Naturally Karli, is available to everyone who is in need of some tips and some help and some support around following a healthier diet, mostly for weight loss aspects. All right, Eileen, I will stop sharing.
Okay, let me get my view here. There we are. Make sure I'm next to you here on the recording. So again, a fabulous presentation. There was a lot of great information in there. I'm just praying that this helps countless people when they get to view this and listen. A couple of my quick takeaways here. I love your suggestion of checking out YouTube for support because, viewing experts and getting that practical learning, the recipes, the cooking, etc. My husband had this comment. He said, it kind of niggles at you when you learn really good facts. When you go to do something, that niggles in your brain. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this because I remember hearing that, right? So it just helps to reinforce. The more books you read, the more lectures you listen to, right? And there's a lot of great experts out there on this, and you've got tons of information on your channel. And then the thing about the why, making sure you know your why. I know that there's a lot of people who recommend going a little deeper, like there's that 7 layers of why, right? Because the first why doesn't necessarily give you enough of a strong belief, but if you keep asking why, so and I'm not sure people understand what I'm saying, but for instance, why do you want to eat healthy? right? Well, I want to lose weight. Well, why do you want to lose weight? And then you might go into, well, it's because, I'll look better, I'll feel better. Well, why do you want to look better? And it's just, you just keep going, and people end up getting this really deep understanding. And now their why is so strong, nothing can shake them, right? So that's really good. And then I love the assertive, tactful responses that you're providing. People are going to love that. I used to tell people in the classes I taught, just say, this seems to be working for me. I mean, how can somebody argue with that, right? Well, this seems working for me. What are they going to say? Oh, well, I don't care if it's working for you. Stop, right? And then the moving on from people, sometimes it's required. I mean, if somebody's giving up alcohol because they're an alcoholic, they're not going to keep hanging out with their drinking buddy. I mean, it doesn't work. And I've seen a lot of people, other people want you to join them in those unhealthy foods because you not eating them kind of makes them feel bad. I had somebody at work once tell me, and he was a good friend and he was joking, but he goes, he was seeing me eat a baked potato and he was eating prime rib or something. I don't remember what it was, but he's like, oh, I hope you get hit by a bus. And I just laughed. I'm eating my potato and I go, I'll be the healthiest corpse you ever saw. So we just kind of make it this big joke, right? But
it helps. It makes them reflect on their own situation, and it's not you personally that's doing it. So, you can't really feel
absolutely. And I just recently went to a birthday party, a barbecue party, and I brought 2 things that I knew I could eat. My husband teased me and he goes, well, don't you want to think about other people? They might not want that because it was a pasta salad without oil, And I'm like, I don't really care about them. There's going to be plenty of food there that they like. I need to make sure there's something there I like.
Right. Absolutely.
And I'm not putting a big label on it that says this is healthy. You might want to, warning, caution, you might not want to eat this.
Eileen's food.
Yeah. They might like it and actually want the recipe. You never know. Right. So anyhow, and I love how you mentioned Chef Ramsay's Bravo basic cooking class so people can learn good knife skills and basic skills. That's really important. So I just want to thank you so much. I know we had a question where a person had just shared that she had very limited energy and endurance and really was looking for quick and easy kitchen strategies. And you certainly provided those. So I know this will help her a lot. There was just that one other question about a person who's then wanting to know about, they say flaxseed should be ground to gain benefits, differing opinions on grinding chia seeds. What is Karli's recommendation? Is it pretty much the same? You want to grind them yourself?
I personally grind my own seeds. Okay. It all depends because you definitely get the benefit. You just might not get as much benefit. You just have to remember that when you're grinding anything, you're creating more surface area, you're making it more bioavailable, and you're increasing the calorie content. So if you are trying to lose weight, it may be helpful to not only reduce your grinding, but maybe reduce your seeds in general for the time being.
Yes, because seeds are high in calorie, which a lot of people aren't familiar with. So yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so everybody, Karli, all of her information is below. You're going to have links to everything. Go to her channel, subscribe to her channel. She's got lots of great information on there. She had me as a guest once, and I've got a video on there as well if you're interested in checking it out. And I hope to have you back at some point, and we can share more things. And I've got lots of upcoming events that, maybe you'll want to be a live speaker at some of my events. We'll see.
I would love that. Thanks, Eileen.
All right. Thank you so much, Karli. I so appreciate your time and all that you do to help people and make this world a better place.
Oh, you as well.
Bye.
Bye, Eileen.